Okay, it's your boy Jonathan Macri here, recording at 6:35 p.m. on Thursday. The trade deadline happened or came and went about 3.5 hours ago. I did want to get a really quick word before the start of the game in about the OG Anunoby news, because obviously, if a key player on your team has surgery, it is big news and certainly worth discussing at least briefly. That being said, I don't know how much there really is to say about this at this point. And here's what I mean by that. We knew, unless you were just absolutely sticking your head in the sand, after this thing went from 1 game to 2 games to 3 games, that this was a bigger deal. And I think the moment that there were 2 moments, it was when he was ruled out for tonight's game against the Dallas Mavericks, ahead of a game ahead, which they had started to do, ruling him out, 24 hours in advance. That was an important kind of a telltale sign. Ian Begley's report after the Memphis game, in which he kind of said that they were planning on keeping OG Anunoby out through the break, was a pretty telltale sign. And then we may not have realized it to the degree that we thought we did. But the trades today were a telltale sign that this was something that they thought was going to be a bigger deal than just like, okay, well, he's going to be back right after the break, because it's very clear that whatever conservative treatment that the Knicks were trying was not working. And to that end, I think they made a very smart decision here. Just on the Anunoby front, we heard from Jeff Stotts in Street Clothes, great follow on Twitter, a few days ago, who put out a great report on the OG Anunoby injury, in which he highlighted a couple of past instances of this sort of surgery happening in season, and the recovery time ranged from under 3 weeks to something closer to 3 months. Now, obviously, I don't know from heads or tails the nature of this procedure in comparison to some of the other procedures, but if we believe the Knicks at their word, which, do at your own risk, he will be back engaging in basketball activities within 3 weeks. So that puts us at about 9 missed games on top of the 6 games that he already missed. If we want to be really conservative and we want to tack on a few more weeks even to that, and let's say he doesn't make his return to the court until, I don't know, a month and change from right now. I mean, we're sitting here, the Knicks are about to play the Dallas Mavericks. It is February 8th. A month from now would put us at Friday, March 8th, for a game against Orlando before back-to-back games against the Philadelphia 76ers. Even if I would think the absolute worst case scenario, and I'm talking worst case scenario, he stays out through the Western trip that they have from March 14th to March 21st. That still gives you the final 13 games of the season to kind of reacclimate him. I think the hope for everybody has to be that he is going to be back well before that. I would hope he's back for the West Coast trip, which again kicks off on March 14th. Since we're sitting here, again, it's February 8th, and the Knicks say that he's going to resume on-court activities. I am just more thinking about now, so what happens on the court until Anunoby is back? And obviously that's going to entail the players that they received in this trade. It's going to give those guys obviously ample opportunity to kind of slide back in and feel their way as they move along. And we'll see how that goes. And obviously Randall's coming back and Mitch will come back at some point. So they have a lot of pieces to reintegrate. But I think if you look at the injury in the light of the moves that they made today, and again, we kind of said all this earlier, gives them a fail-safe and all of that. Now it becomes more of a reality. So I think for as long as Randall is also out, which, we'll see, I would not be surprised if Boyan Bogdanovic gets to start at the 4. If Josh Hart continues to get the start at the 3. If for as long as Mitch is out, obviously Precious, I think we'll see. Actually, that becomes a little bit more interesting. Does Precious continue to still get minutes at the backup 4 and Sims at the backup 5, or do they slot Precious over to the backup 5 and maybe rely on a backup unit of Alec Burks and Deuce McBride? We'll see. I mean, this is kind of a brave new world here for us as we figure all this out. But the good news, the important news is that this is not going to be the level of disaster that it would have been if the Knicks had stayed quiet at the deadline. And again, the timing of all of this, I think, gives us some hope, an ample amount of hope, that OG Anunoby will be back with more than enough time before the playoffs to kind of get situated. Is there a concern that they will fall too far in the standings to make getting a 2 seed or a 3 seed unlikely? Absolutely. I think that's a very valid concern. The Bucks, the Cavs, and yes, the Indiana Pacers may be heard from in that respect. I think to that end, Randall's recovery timeline is going to be important for sure. And we'll see how that goes, how soon after the All-Star break he can make it back, and if he could obviously stay back if he makes it back. But I would not rule out a top 3 seed either. That's not to beat a dead horse. That's the nice thing about the trades that they made today. So that's all I have to say about the OG Anunoby injury. Obviously, get well soon. There's a part of me that's happy he's just getting the procedure done now. So hopefully this puts this behind him and onwards and upwards from here. Okay, that's it. Talk to everybody soon. Peace out.